What's up, everyone? This is Morning Coffee. We're going to see what happens because it seems as though I'm having issues with my restream, which is annoying because I've got some stuff I want to go over with you. Yesterday, I did not, and you can kind of still hear it in my voice. It's not really getting any better. I mean, it might be getting better, but it sucks because I can't talk right. I wish these headphones came wireless, but they don't. Every time you try to do anything wireless with a mic and a Mac, I mean, everything gets a little goofy. So anyway, so yesterday I didn't do morning coffee. It just became a little difficult and couldn't talk very well. Trying to figure out what's going on. Sinus issues, I always have them. Seasons change and it gets a little bit worse. Some people, my daughter said I sounded like Batman. So if I sound like Batman, that's kind of cool, in my opinion. Whatever. Anyway, I've been talking to a few people, and one of the things that I really like about how I push through life and do things is that I never turn down a conversation. Someone reaches out and they want to talk about something, I never really turn it down because I think that you can always learn something from other people. And that is something that I think that everyone should always seek out to learn in how to relate what they know to their life. So, excuse me. Red Bull. Red Bull is great. But it is morning coffee, morning Red Bull, morning caffeine, I guess is what I would think about. I got my Superman cup. If you guys didn't know that, I'm a huge Superman fan. Ba-boom. Also, I have like a whole half sleeve tattoo. That's DC stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Looks like the stream has already tapped out, which is great. It's exactly what I'm looking for, is for this freaking restream not to work the way that it's supposed to. All right. Well, anyway, I never turn down a conversation, and there's a gentleman that I was talking to the other day about something, and he popped this up to me. He goes, "Hey, have you ever heard this before?" And I hadn't, and I want to break it down a little bit. And let me figure out. I'm pretty sure it's Teddy Roosevelt. That's what he told me, but he doesn't have the name of the person who quote. It's a long quote, which to me, it's a poem apparently. Let's see. The Man in the Arena, if you haven't heard it before. Yeah, Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt. Okay. So we were talking about kind of like how I do things and how I feel about things and that stuff. And he's like, you should check this out. And a lot of times we think about people who judge us and tell us that we're going to do things and stop us from trying to be better or do whatever they can. And I want you to think about like how we talk about our critics, right? The people who are judging us based on what we do, and you may want to do something, right? Like you may want to expand your life. You may want to go find another job. You may want to go run a marathon. No matter what you want to do, there's always going to be a critic. There's always going to be someone who tells you what you can and cannot do. So let's break this down a little bit, okay? So it says, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. We're going to break this down kind of piece by piece. But think about that. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. Okay? So basically what that's saying is that your critics don't really matter in what you're doing. Okay? The critic belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. Okay? So that's you. That's who matters. That's where the credit goes. The credit doesn't go to someone who is on the outside watching and telling you what you can and cannot do. Okay? who strives valiantly, who errs, who becomes short again and again. So the possibility of something happening right off the bat, like which we've talked about multiple times over and over again, is that you may not succeed the first time, but the credit goes to you. You are the person who is in charge of that. The credit goes to you for failing. The credit goes to you for succeeding. Okay? Because there is no effort without error or shortcomings. No matter what you do, the effort that you put into it, the things that you put into it, there's going to be shortcomings. There's going to be things that don't always go your way. And I'm a prime example of that. I was talking to my friend Jay yesterday about my podcast, right? And him and I have been doing this for, I looked on Facebook the other day, it always pops up the memories, and it was talking about, well, you did this interview 3 years ago with Jay. Well, it'd been a year since I had him on the first time, or 6 months since I had him on the first time. And I have been doing this for 4 years. And the expectation is that this is just going to blow up, that something's going to happen, with the podcast. But then the thought is that I have to be doing more. So what are the things that I have done? How have I stumbled in the ways that I am doing things? And I started out doing, it's changed, it's evolved. All the things that I have done. So if you gauge the success of how many downloads it has, or how many people are listening, or how many people it has affected or watched, like if you look at the stats of what it is, I look at the stats of this podcast in general. Okay, so let's just pull them up here. This month, in the last 30 days, I've had 596 downloads. Okay, one day I had 300, and like you always are a slave to the downloads to try and see what they're at. All time in 4 years, I've had 44.5K downloads, 44,000, almost 44,000 and a half. Let's just say 45. We'll round up because I like to be optimistic, because it'll be there, it'll get there. Okay. With that, what I've had to do is I have had 50K is the next whatever. So 250 episodes, over 250 episodes uploaded. I'll hit 300 this year because of doing this daily, but it hasn't blown up. If you go and you look at the stats like Joe Rogan or Lewis Howes, or these people have been doing it for a long time, it hasn't. But people listen to them, right? And it'll get there. But the thought is that, it says right here, first episode, January 31st, 2020 was when the first episode was. Almost 4 years. I had two choices, right? There's a lot of people who were podcasting at that time, and they started up because of 2020. COVID happened, right? 2019, 2020, that was right when COVID happened. And there's all these people sitting at home, and they're like, you know what I can do? I can talk to a microphone and keep going. And a lot of people go, well, we'll do an episode and it'll be, it'll get tons of downloads. It doesn't work that way. Usually what happens with a podcast is someone will start to listen to it, and then, they'll listen to a couple episodes and it just kind of tapers off and they're done because they've decided that they don't like it, or they just don't have the time for it. People go back to work. So there's errors, there's shortcomings, there are things that, haven't been done or haven't continued to move forward, and you have to work through. But the credit belongs to you. The credit doesn't belong to the person who's telling you what you are, what you're doing, and what you're not doing. And there has been feedback, right? Like, people hop on and they tell you, well, this is shit, or this is good, or whatever. But they're the person who is outside watching. They don't know what's going on. They don't know all the things that are going on with you. So you're in the fight. You're the person with the dust on your face. You're the person with the blood, sweat, and tears. You're the person who put all the work in to make that happen. Okay? There is no effort without error or shortcomings, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself a worthy cause, who at the best in the end triumph of high achievement, and the worst if he fails. At least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know the victory nor defeat. And that hits pretty hard right there, okay? So you want to think about that. The critic has no idea what it took to get there. And it's funny because I think about critics, like one of the number one critics that you think about are like in movies, right? There's these movie critics who sit there and they tell you that your movie has failed because they don't like it. But it's only their opinion. And opinions don't matter. An opinion of someone can be completely different. Everyone has these choices that they make, you know. I mean, you think about attraction, right? Or about people in general. Everyone is different. You don't have the same nose I have. You don't have the same eyes I have. You don't have the same face I have. You may not be able to grow facial hair like I do. You may not like the things. You have this idea of what attractiveness is to you. And to sit there and judge someone based on what you think, which is an objective view, like you can sit there, or not an objective view, but it's subjective. I'm sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. Everything is subjective, okay? So that the choices that they make and the decisions that they decide are based, everyone has a different decision based on who they are, right? And you know me for who I am, for what you see at this point in time. If you're joining me on this live and this is the first time that you've seen me, then you only know me from this point, but you don't know me from the past. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I've worked through. And that's how you should look at life. If someone is judging you based on what they know about you from that moment where that timeline is, they don't know you. This is going to sound really crude, and I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care, because I really think that if you can put this into perspective, if you can think about it, okay? I don't know if I'm going to say it. Have to think about it. Someone said, and this guy that was a motivational speaker, "What is up, Nikki's in the house?" I think I said this the other day. And maybe I'll PG it, okay? But they said success is like being pregnant, okay? Thank you. So success is like being pregnant. Everyone knows it happened, but nobody knows how many times you had to do it to make it happen, right? Which is, it's kind of how it is. It's like people see from the outside, they see the success of what they see. Like you may be looking at this. I used to get this all the time, and I haven't gotten it lately. But I used to post on social media like a ton. And it was like, dude, you're killing it. Like people see you all the time. Well, at that point in time, they see you all the time because you're posting all the time. But no one knows what, like all the work. You don't know. Like you've seen this. How many of you know that I've published, there it is right there, 260 episodes, right? How many of you know that I have 44K downloads? How many of you know what those statistics mean? Because if you do know that, then you will know that that's not that great. But it's about the journey that gets me there. It's about all the things that I've done in the past to get there and all the work that I've done to try and make it better, right? Because at one point I was getting 5 downloads an episode. At the next point, I'm getting 10 downloads per episode, right? And it just keeps growing. But the moment that you quit is the moment that it never happens, right? Like it won't get to that point. So that's where you have to realize that you need to do whatever you can to keep going. And if you believe in it, if you truly believe in it, if you truly think that that is the way that it's supposed to be, you will not let anything stop you. You will just keep going. You will fail over and over again, and you will continue to move forward. You will continue to push forward. And that's what it's about. You know? So go look this up. I want you to put in the work. I want you to go check this out. And I'm sorry, I'm still recovering, obviously. I want you to think about this. I'm going to read this whole thing out, and then I'm going to go because it's time. I'm going to read this again. We kind of broke it down a little bit. But I want you to think about this today, no matter what you're doing, okay? It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who's doing the work, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives violently, who errs, who comes come short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcomings. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end of triumph of high achievement, and who is at the worst if he fails, or at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. It's okay to be victorious, and it's okay to be defeated. Keep moving forward. Keep trying. Keep putting that one foot in front of another no matter what happens, and devote yourself to be better every single day. This has been Morning Coffee. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll do this again tomorrow. Hopefully things are getting better with my voice. If you want to support the show, please go to the Patreon for as little as $3.99 a month. You can support the show and you can help me grow it and make it better, and pay for some of these things of my current hobby, which is this, because, I had to change it to freelance because that's really what it is. It's something that I enjoy doing. And I hope that you guys have a great day. Until next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success.